Imagine feeling constantly on edge, as if walking on thin ice, never knowing when it might crack beneath your feet. Picture a world where reality seems to shift like sand, leaving you unsure of what's true or false. Now, add to that a relentless storm of criticism and manipulation, where every decision you make is met with doubt and scorn. This is the turbulent landscape faced by victims of narcissistic abuse. Today, we uncover the hidden layers of emotional exhaustion, the draining toll it takes on their spirit, their resilience, and their ability to break free from the suffocating grip of their abuser. Internalized criticism. Victims of narcissistic abuse often internalize the relentless criticism from their abuser. This constant barrage of negative feedback erodes self-esteem and fosters self-doubt. Over time, victims start to believe the derogatory remarks, viewing themselves as inherently flawed or inadequate. This internalized criticism becomes a pervasive inner voice, undermining confidence and affecting decision-making. The abuser's tactics, such as gaslighting and blame shifting, reinforce this negative self-perception, making victims overly self-critical. This deeply ingrained self-criticism hampers personal growth and reinforces the victim's dependence on the abuser for validation, perpetuating the cycle of abuse. Inability to trust own judgments. Victims of narcissistic abuse often struggle to trust their own judgments due to continuous gaslighting and manipulation by the abuser. This deliberate distortion of reality makes victims doubt their perceptions and decision-making abilities. Over time, the constant invalidation erodes their confidence, leaving them reliant on the abuser for guidance and approval. This self-doubt is exacerbated by the abuser's unpredictable behavior, which creates a state of chronic uncertainty and anxiety. The inability to trust oneself hinders independence and reinforces the victim's dependence on the abuser, trapping them further in the abusive cycle. Inconsistent reality perception. Victims of narcissistic abuse often experience inconsistent reality perception due to persistent gaslighting and manipulation. The abuser's frequent distortion of facts and denial of the victim's experiences create a confusing and unstable sense of reality. This inconsistency leads to chronic self-doubt and uncertainty, making it difficult for victims to trust their own perceptions and memories. The constant questioning of what is real versus what is manipulated undermines their mental stability, leaving them disoriented and vulnerable. This fractured sense of reality perpetuates the victim's dependence on the abuser for validation and understanding, entrenching them deeper in the abusive relationship. Chronic anxiety. Victims of narcissistic abuse often suffer from chronic anxiety due to the constant emotional turmoil and unpredictability inflicted by the abuser. The abuser's erratic behavior, manipulative tactics, and emotional volatility create a state of perpetual fear and apprehension. Victims are always on edge, anticipating the next outburst or manipulation. This continuous stress response disrupts their ability to relax or feel safe, leading to physical symptoms such as insomnia, tension, and panic attacks. The persistent anxiety erodes mental and emotional well-being, leaving victims feeling overwhelmed and powerless, further entrenching their dependence on the abuser for a semblance of stability. Emotional exhaustion. Victims of narcissistic abuse often experience emotional exhaustion due to the relentless demands, manipulation, and emotional volatility of the abuser. Constantly trying to manage and mitigate the abuser's moods and attacks drains the victim's emotional resources. The cyclical nature of hope and disappointment, coupled with continuous gaslighting and criticism, leaves victims in a state of perpetual stress and fatigue. This exhaustion impairs their ability to think clearly, make decisions, and engage in daily activities. Over time, emotional exhaustion diminishes their capacity to resist or escape the abusive relationship, trapping them further in the cycle of abuse. Mental fog. Victims of narcissistic abuse often experience mental fog, a state of cognitive impairment characterized by confusion, forgetfulness, and difficulty concentrating. This occurs because narcissistic abuse involves constant manipulation and gaslighting, which undermine the victim's sense of reality. The abuser's unpredictable behavior and mixed messages lead to chronic stress and anxiety, disrupting the victim's mental clarity. The victim is perpetually in a state of high alert, leading to mental exhaustion and diminished cognitive function. Additionally, the erosion of self-esteem and self-worth contributes to a lack of confidence in one's thoughts and decisions. This mental fog makes it challenging for victims to process information, make decisions, and engage in daily activities effectively. Over time, the cumulative effect of these psychological assaults leaves the victim feeling lost and disoriented, struggling to reclaim their mental sharpness and sense of self. Trauma bonding. Trauma bonding is a psychological response where victims of narcissistic abuse form a strong emotional attachment to their abuser. This bond develops through a cycle of intermittent reinforcement, where periods of abuse are alternated with moments of kindness or affection. The inconsistency creates a powerful emotional dependency, as victims cling to the positive interactions while hoping for change. This bond is reinforced by the abuser's manipulation, which includes gaslighting, blame shifting, and isolating the victim from their support network. The victim becomes increasingly reliant on the abuser for validation and a sense of identity, making it difficult to break free from the relationship despite the ongoing harm. Trauma bonding leads to intense feelings of loyalty and protectiveness towards the abuser, further confusing the victim's perception of the relationship. The emotional and psychological impact of trauma bonding is profound, often leaving victims feeling trapped and unable to envision a life without their abuser. Sleep disturbances. Victims of narcissistic abuse often suffer from sleep disturbances due to the persistent stress and anxiety caused by the abusive relationship. Constant worry about the abuser's reactions, coupled with replaying past interactions and anticipating future conflicts, disrupts their ability to relax and fall asleep. Nightmares about the abuse or the abuser further disturb their sleep patterns, leaving them fatigued and irritable during the day. The chronic lack of restorative sleep impairs their cognitive function, emotional stability, and overall well-being. Addressing sleep disturbances is crucial for victims to regain mental clarity and begin healing from the trauma of narcissistic abuse. Post-traumatic stress symptoms. Victims of narcissistic abuse often develop post-traumatic stress symptoms, PTSD, due to the prolonged emotional and psychological trauma inflicted by the abuser. Flashbacks, intrusive memories, and intense emotional reactions related to the abuse are common. Hypervigilance and exaggerated startle response reflect heightened arousal and constant scanning for threats. Avoidance of reminders of the trauma and negative alterations in mood and cognition further characterize PTSD. These symptoms severely impact daily functioning, relationships, and self-esteem. Seeking professional support is crucial to manage PTSD symptoms, regain a sense of safety, and embark on a path to recovery from narcissistic abuse. Confusion from mixed messages. Victims of narcissistic abuse often experience confusion from mixed messages due to the abuser's inconsistent behavior and contradictory communications. The abuser alternates between expressions of love and affection and episodes of hostility or indifference. This creates a disorienting and unpredictable environment where the victim is unsure of the abuser's true intentions or feelings. Mixed messages contribute to a cycle of hope and disappointment, making it difficult for the victim to trust their own perceptions or make informed decisions. This confusion reinforces the victim's dependence on the abuser for validation and stability, perpetuating the cycle of abuse. As we've explored the intricate dynamics of narcissistic abuse, it becomes clear how deeply it affects its victims. From the relentless emotional turmoil to the erosion of self-confidence and the pervasive sense of confusion and exhaustion, the impact is profound. Victims face not only the immediate challenges of navigating a volatile relationship, but also the long-term effects on their mental and emotional well-being. Recognizing these patterns and seeking support are crucial steps toward healing and reclaiming autonomy. By shedding light on these experiences, we hope to empower those affected to break free from the cycle of abuse and begin a journey towards recovery and resilience.